Shall we begin?
You are now listening to an altogether less fashionable variety of soccer podcast. Broadcasting live from the capital city of Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to
ACES Radio.
I got the new wings with the Zima flavor sauce.
I've given this no thought whatsoever.
Hashtag probably riding cock.
They're in your face. They're a little different. I think it's super cool. I love them. Jamie, ignorant slut.
Hold on to your butts.
Now, here are your hosts.
Not Morgan Hughes. Rest.
John Zadar. And Darby Snarpus.
Greetings, edgelords, shitlords, and bezlords, to another episode of ACES Radio, stuck our asses at home, coronavirus quarantine, the world is on fire episode. We're here. It's Thursday, July 23rd. For those of you who still know what things like days and dates mean, they've ceased to have any meaning for me, other than to maybe try and pay attention to when crew games are now happening. So we're here, of course, once again with everybody's favorite bucket boy, Brent Miller. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty well. I'm glad that you finally decided to join the podcast. We were waiting on you for like 10 minutes, so it's nice of you to join in.
Oh, is that what happened? Because I was really under the impression that our unspecified mystery guest host and I were here talking, and your ass was asleep in a hotel in Muskogee.
Drebs, don't deflect. It's not a good trade on you.
But it's literally the only thing I have. So have you been out to your pool of contagion here in the past week or so? How's the epicenter of all illness in your area?
It's been a few days since I've been out to the pool. Didn't go a couple of days ago because I went to B-Dubs to watch the game. And then yesterday I was trying to catch back up on some sleep after watching the game. So it's been a little while.
So what's it like out back behind the B-Dubs where you are? I mean, is anything bad going to happen if you go out behind the B-Dubs?
No, nothing bad will happen if you meet behind the B-Dubs.
Or motherfucking will it. All right. So any other exciting stuff in your world? I'm assuming you still have plenty of masks to lick, plenty of meth to smoke. Okay. Cool story, bro. All right. Well, so now that we've talked about how nothing happens where you are, here in Ohio, things continue to happen. Today is the first day of the statewide mask mandate. So wear your motherfucking masks if you haven't been so far. And if you haven't been so far, how dare you? You're a piece of shit. But yeah, we're all still living in a world where numbers are going up. But they're playing soccer in a bubble, so there's that. I busted out the projector for Tuesday night's game, not really realizing how dark you do need it to be to project something onto the side of your garage. Let's just say the first half of the game, the people who were in my backyard, it was more like listening to a radio broadcast, except without the sultry tones of Chris Doran. I think by about halftime we were doing the, oh yeah, I can kind of tell who that is. And of course the game was basically over 15 minutes in, so we got to hang out and drink in the backyard and stuff, so that wasn't too bad, I suppose. Now, let's introduce our mystery co-host guest person for this week. You all will know that this is a very famous person in crew fandom.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Morgan Hughes.
Hashtag
yeah,
Rex.
baby. No.
Oh my God. Yeah. So our guest is really famous, not because of anything he did, because he's a worthless piece of shit, but he's famous because of his wife and his children. He is married to one of the best known crew fans in all of Crew Nation. And he is the father of the future leader of Husden Street Hooligans. Welcome everybody to the show, Mr. Charles CANPENISNO.
Oh my God, Darby! What a wonderful introduction! I'm blessed to be here once again on your shit ass podcast, and I would just like to say, now that I no longer work in the public sector, I've been waiting to say this to you on your podcast for years. Just fuck you, Darby. Fuck you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the fact that you were so concerned about your shitty-ass government job that you needed to protect it. But now that you've sold out and gone corporate, you give zero fucks, and you're just here to talk shit.
That's right, baby. Private sector Charles.
Are you playing a lot of golf these days? Are you doing that thing now?
I've played once. I have played once, but not a ton of golf now.
Okay. So how has life been in the Campisano household during these past few months? Because you have you have 37 children in your house. I assume Darla has had at least 2 sets of twins since we started recording this episode. So how are things going there?
They're going. Never quite sure what day it is. I think I started my new job a week or two into the pandemic. We got all shut down and sent home, and then we started schooling kids from home and finishing out the school year and doing all that. We are back in the office a little bit now, but mostly locked in the house or playing in the backyard for the kids and Darla. So it's we're surviving, but it kind of is what it is at this point. Thank God some crew soccer came back and gave us something to watch, and right now, the Yankees are back. If me and Bront just want to make this a Yankees podcast, I'm all right with that. We can just sit here and do some play-by-play on the game.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
I would like you both to know that I am able to mute. So if you start doing that shit, I will go ahead and record an episode by myself. It's not like any fewer people will listen as a result of that. So, no, this is not a Yankees podcast. How dare you?
But it could be. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, they're in off season right now. You need to fill that, that airwave space there, Darby.
I mean, I guess, but I would rather just, stick a microphone in the toilet and flush for 3 hours rather than listen to the Yankees.
Fine, Darby, fine. We'll talk about the greatest team the world has ever seen instead.
Absolutely, we will. Certainly the greatest team in the hashtag MLS Is Back tournament, as it turns out. That was a great transition, Charles. Let me just take a moment to pause and say what a consummate professional you are, taking us flawlessly from the lad check-in into talking about something vaguely resembling soccer, which is basically what the MLS tournament is, something vaguely resembling soccer. So there have been 2 games since we last spoke. Well, there's been more than 2 games since Charles and I last spoke, but podcast-wise. We had
speaking of which, Drabs.
Yeah. Yes.
I forgot, fuck you for, Steps is coming into town. You're having all this stuff. There's no invite to the Campisano household. It's a little hurtful. It's okay. We cry. We cry ourselves to sleep here. We're like, why does Darby hate us? What the fuck? No. What?
Right.
What? What's your excuse?
You understand that the
I
rule
wasn't
of
invited
thumb,
either, Charles.
Yeah. Yes, Brent, anytime you want to come back and hang out in the backyard, you feel free. The thing is, the sort of the rule of thumb these days is you don't gather in groups of more than 10 people.
Oh, so
now the Campisano household.
You're going to use the pandemic as an excuse.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, Darby, that's for you.
You have 127 family members living in your house. It's you and Darla and these children who keep multiplying like fucking gremlins when you throw water on them. And if I invite you, then you're going to bring over the whole brood. And then Morgan's like daddy sense will go off, and he'll bring Nora, and then like the whole, like all of the crew fans who started making and having babies during the worst possible time, they'll just all show up in my backyard, and I can't have that. So,
all right, that's fair. If you want to use a pandemic and the sheer volume of children I have as an excuse, that's fine. We
I'll tell you what.
The game.
Yeah, if you find somebody to babysit your entire brood, you can come over and hang out in our backyard. If you're not busy hanging out with your neighbor, is your neighbor still throwing those like pool parties and shit? By the way.
Oh yeah. We don't go over there. That's like, I think it's a coronavirus hotspot all by itself.
Like all of the increases in Franklin County are just centered in that one address.
Oh yeah, and they've gone places. I know at one point early on they went to Florida. I think they were in Nashville a couple of weeks ago. Like, no, that's I mean, that contact tracing emanates from that house, I think. Right.
So when Mike DeWine today was giving specific examples of people doing bad things, he basically just listed everything your neighbors have done, as it turns out. Because he mentioned like going to other states, pool parties, like graduation parties, county fairs. I assume your neighbor went to a county fair at some point. That's the only explanation.
They were going somewhere for the memorial. I assume it was probably like the Bogey, knowing them. And I'm like, who's doing that right now? Who's doing that? But yeah, no, it's not a good look next door. It's very cringeworthy. We just stay in the house. They're not allowed to come over and hang out.
That's good. I'm glad. It just barricade the door just to be extra sure. You know. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, sorry about that. So Soccers, yeah, there were a couple of games since the last time we did a podcast. We had we had a 2-0 victory against New York Red Bull a week ago today. That was, let's see, I probably didn't even have good notes for this one. If I recall correctly. It was Zardes and Mokhtar who scored in that one?
No, god damn it, Darby, that's wrong. God damn it. Jesus Christ, I thought you were the professional. I thought Morgan.
Oh no, I never come in here.
And,
all right,
and
here
Zadar was the witty and Art, and you were the professional.
I think so. I had.
Why
notes.
would anybody ever think that he was the professional?
Well, yeah. I mean, in comparison to.
Oh, well, for sure. No, see, the thing was, I started to do some show prep where we were going to talk about each game in detail individually, and then I realized that would be like a 3-hour episode by the time that we got through all the other things we want to talk about. That's a tease. So yeah, then I made an audible, and I'm like, no, we'll just talk generally about games, and deleted all of the notes that I had. About the individual games. So super smart. So now I have the recap open.
Yeah, the dog ate your homework. We got it. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Okay, yes. So the Red Bull game, you had the ZZ Boots combo scoring goals. So you had a goal from Jossie and one from Lucas. Yeah, and then in that game, oh shit. Yeah, I don't have any of this stuff up. There was some definite player rotation. In fact, in all of the games, the second game was a 1-0 win over Atlanta United, where Mokhtar scored early in the game off of a 19 pass sequence that the entire league just had a raging hard-on for. After years of MLS basically ignoring the crew, it's still surreal to see them tweeting openly about our players in good ways, but it's a pleasant surprise. But that game also featured a good number of rotating in players, including Tarbell getting a start in goal. So either of you lads, do you have specific things you want to talk about for either of those games? We'll talk about the group stage just sort of generally, but if you have any thoughts you wanted to share about either of those, now would be the time to do it. And they're both going to sit there and wait for the other to talk.
Bront, it's your fucking podcast, man. Come on.
It is
Brent, you go
definitely
first.
not my podcast. All right, I'll go first, I guess, since Charles is being a douche. I actually think that the game against Red Bull was probably the most impressive game in this group, despite the fact that we won like 15-0 against Cincinnati. I don't know. I was just really impressed with the way we handled their pressure. I think Berhalter came out of this game looking really good. Definitely didn't look like a rookie. He was able to handle their high press really well and make smart decisions. So the offensive output might have been a little bit lower, but yeah, it was definitely a very impressive game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Red Bull game. The Atlanta game fucking sucked, but I mean, it's great that we got a one, but it was an awful game to watch. But the Red Bull game, getting to see Berhalter, Cadden, you got a Sanch assist, which I know just made Derby's heart happy. So, I mean, that game had everything.
It was the easiest assist that Sanch will ever have. He had such a great open lane because of the Zardes run. And the Cadden throw-in, incidentally, I think Cadden wound up getting a hockey assist on that one, if I remember correctly. And if he didn't, he should have, because his throw-in was immaculate. He threw it to the mid side of the field relative to Pedro so he could spin and beat the defender, led him into the space perfectly. Yeah, that game was fun to watch. It was the first... We haven't really had a ton of luck recently against the Red Bull high press. Berhalter teams just had the worst time with that, and this team had no problems. Like Brent said, Sebastian Berhalter he looked pretty comfortable with the ball. He was definitely passing out of pressure with no problem, and I think he was a trigger for their press. It did seem like any time he touched the ball, they were collapsing on him. Lucas and Nagbe were both great beating the press just with their dribbles, which I think may have been the biggest difference. In years past, we were exclusively just trying to pass out of that pressure, and those two guys were able to beat defenders on their own, which created new opportunities. And that was also a game, Mokhtar looked good in that one. That was the game where he nearly had the Pippa chip, where it went off the crossbar. Yeah, that game was, I would agree, that was probably the most solid game of the three, whereas the Atlanta game is one where, yeah, there were players on the field.
And I think it's not, like you said, it's not only that they beat the press, it's with beating it with the rotations too. You don't have Artur out there, you don't have Harrison out there, you don't necessarily roll out your starting 11, and you can still, play that way. It looked great. And we can talk about, I think, legitimately Darlington Abbey being the best central midfielder in the entire MLS. Drabby, your thoughts?
It's still a small sample size in a crew jersey, but I think he's done very well, and obviously he's a guy who knows the Porter system and performs well in it. I think he and Artur are potentially even a better combo than they are individual players. I think they're both making each other better. Artur for a while had kind of been in a point where it looked like he was playing himself out of lineups in the late Berhalter and even sort of early on in the Porter era, but he definitely looks really comfortable now, and those two, they're playing off of each other very well.
I agree, but I don't know why you're afraid to say Darlington Abbey's the best central midfielder in the entire MLS.
I'm afraid to say it because I haven't gotten a chance to play central midfield yet for the crew, and I don't want to block out the possibility that I could still step in and make a huge difference for this team.
Boo.
Thank you for that insightful analysis, Brent Miller, everybody.
That is not what I expected.
Drabs, I hooked up the drop machine, so just be prepared for that all night.
Oh, I'm very excited for the drops that you're going to provide to us. Did you hook it up while you were sleeping?
I think we already determined that you were the one we were waiting on to join. Charles and I were ready like the professionals we are.
I see. Okay. I apologize. Next time I will try and be awake at 8 p.m. Eastern time for the podcast, if that's when we record. Although we are recording this later because Charles had child duty. So really, any delays are fully his fault. So,
once again, Dubs, fuck you very much.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate this new side of you, this filthy potty mouth, swearing in front of his kids, talking down to his wife.
Kids are not
talking bad about his boss. What's your boss's name, and what should we email him at to tell him about this episode?
team@savethecrew.com.
Oh, that's right. All right. Okay. Let's just talk generally about the group stage here. What are your thoughts? Like, what impressions do you get? Obviously, the crew came out with 9 points, which nobody else did, I believe. Let's see, scrolling through. This is a highly technical person. Yeah, nobody else was 3 wins, 0 losses, 0 ties. So clearly, crew are the best team the world has ever seen, and in this tournament has ever seen. Thoughts about the team? Thoughts about Group E, which looked like it should be tough, and instead was enough of a cakewalk that fucking Cincinnati got 6 points out of 9, or just the tournament in general. Brent, you first, so we don't have this weird little silence while the two of you tango deciding who's going to talk next. Yeah, this is the part where you talk, Brent. God damn it. And he muted himself again. Charles, would you like to talk about the MLS Is Back tournament so far? Since my
can we hear me now?
He's back. Hold on.
Is it fixed?
This is the worst podcast ever, even before all of this nonsense, and now you're making it worse. Okay. Whichever one of you idiots wants to talk, please go ahead.
All right, I'll go ahead. Just so you know, it is 3-1 Yankees. There are 2 outs and 2 runners on base in the 5th inning.
Oh, what a treat you are, Brent. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Oh, I'm
hovering
over with mute right now.
Thoughts on the tournament so far are that, we came out of this looking a lot stronger than even I thought we would. Not that I thought we would be like a weak team, but I don't know. I didn't expect us to have such an easy time with that New York press. I don't know. Atlanta's definitely not as good as I thought they would be. Part of that being the fact that Joseph Martinez is out. But I don't know. This group was just a lot easier than I thought it would be going into it. Partially because I think we just look better as a team, and then because some of the other teams are just not as good as I thought they would be. But I still think that somehow, despite the fact that we've looked as good as we have, still not quite getting the recognition that we deserve, which is confusing. But also possibly a good thing, I guess, so that we can't get too big of a head going on into the rest of the tournament. But yeah, overall, just really impressed with the way the team has looked so far.
All right. Charles, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I hate this, but I have to largely agree with Bront there. By the way, Yankees at 4-1 now. They scored another run, Darby. You're welcome. And
the bases are loaded, so they're going to keep on going.
Yeah, it's gonna keep going. We're really locked into this podcast. I swear. So I think it's great that they got the 9 points. I think dispatching Cincinnati the way they did was awesome. The Red Bulls game is the best game I've seen them play, I think, this year. And then the Atlanta game, that's a game any other year we give up a late equalizer easily facing Atlanta, and they didn't. And also another big point about kind of the tournament in general in the group is that whatever's going on with the testing, it seems the positive tests have gone away. Hopefully they're reading them openly, but it seems they have made it safe for the players, and you're hearing a bunch of terrible stuff out of there with the testing issues or people contracting it or people spreading it or, the outside staff bringing it in. So I think that takes away a lot of the John Zadar guilt from that aspect of the tournament, and we can just enjoy the crew playing well. That's nice also. I don't feel bad about my fandom, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. It clearly at the beginning of the tournament, there were a lot of question marks, and 2 entire teams had to withdraw. Although it does seem like maybe the greatest issue there was probably them being infected coming into the bubble rather than sharing inside the bubble. It has been several days since the MLS has at least admitted any positive tests, which is good because even if this stupid tournament is a shitty bad idea, at least, they're going to do it. I would at least prefer that teams come out not with more illnesses. One thing I noticed, obviously the crew have done incredibly well. You can't ask for more as far as results. I think Group E wound up being a little weaker than we expected. Atlanta fell way off, and Red Bull losing to Cincinnati, even in the kind of fluky way they did, you don't really expect that. I think one of the things that I noticed is how the assists have been distributed so far. So 7 different players in the tournament have contributed an assist, which is, that's very nice. The downside is we've only had 3 players who've scored, but over the course of 5 games, over the course of 3 games, I don't think that's a huge deal. I'm not super concerned yet, but basically Zardes, Zelarayan, and Mokhtar were the only ones who've scored so far, and Mokhtar's now hurt. Are you guys concerned, just for the sake of, I'm gonna be the negative old man here.
Ooh, plot twist.
I know, right? Totally unexpected. The wingers. And now this is the part where I get to shit on Pedro, which, as everybody knows, is my favorite thing to do.
Fuck you guys.
0 goals and 1 assist in about 300 minutes of play. Diaz has 0 goals, 1 assist in 270 minutes, and Etienne has 0 goals, 1 assist in 190 minutes.
Those are stats for the year, right? Not just this tournament.
God damn it, yes, that is true. It is overall in the season, and it has been a choppy season. I am not willing to break out their numbers just in the tournament. But that being said,
in other words, he can't.
Oh, fuck you, Brent. God, I hate you so much. Overall, regardless of the number of minutes, the eyeball test, the wingers have taken a lot of shots, and it seems to me they have a good amount of freedom to do so. Again, probably more than in the Berhalter era, where there was a lot more passing and looking for that perfect shot. I do think now they have more freedom to pull the trigger, even if it's not the best angle. So they are shooting, but it doesn't seem like they're going in. Do you have any concerns at this point about the wingers, especially given that Mokhtar now appears to be a little dinged up?
I do not. I think they've all pretty much been on target and right there, with the exception of maybe a couple of missed tap-ins from Etienne, and a couple of missed really easy passes. But I don't know. I'm just not that concerned about that yet at this point. I'm more concerned about the fact that they have to continue playing in a swamp where it seems like everybody gets hurt every other day.
Yeah, I don't think I'm concerned either, because they're creating chances, they're creating opportunities. Diaz has created a bunch of opportunities going down the right. Derek's had some opportunities that he probably should have put away. I think if they weren't even creating chances, if they looked sluggish and out of sorts, but they're getting around the goal, they're creating, good goal scoring chances, and they're just not finishing right now. And finishing, I think, will come kind of with time. But, as long as I see us moving the ball, making plays, and those guys, they've been working hard too, I think, the goals will come.
And I hate that you took that line, because I was totally going to drop the hashtag the goals will come era on you, but you beat me to it, you son of a bitch.
That's professional Charles Camp son right here, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. They have all been dangerous, and they've been dangerous in different ways, and I think everybody is bringing something to the field. There certainly hasn't been a winger where you look at them and you go, oh, they're just playing like crap. And like I said, since the assists are kind of getting sprayed in from all over the place, I think that's just as long as the goals are going in and the wins are coming. If the wingers aren't contributing a ton of goals, but they're opening up those opportunities, that still works for me.
You just basically complimented Sanch there, so how does that make you feel, Darby?
Let me just say this. The Crew's biggest win in the group stage came when Pedro wasn't a factor and he wasn't falling down all over the field in that 4-0 win over Cincinnati. Back to you, Charles.
Fuck you, Darby.
All right. Well, Brent mentioned the injuries and the swampy bullshit down there. That's a really good point, and let's talk about that. So, as things stand today, Vito Wormhor successfully had an ankle surgery. He's going to be out 4 to 6 months, which at this point is the rest of the season, assuming there is even anything resembling a season after this weird-ass tournament. Eloy Room, according to Jacob Myers, will be out for multiple games. They're being a little vague, I think, at this point still about what's going on with him. But clearly at the end of the Red Bull game, he was struggling. I really thought we were going to have an Eddie Gavin moment where somebody else was going to have to put the jersey on, but he toughed it out. Mokhtar left relatively early into the Atlanta game after scoring the goal. I haven't seen any official word on him. I think last I saw, Porter said he was still being evaluated. But I know he was on the sideline after the injury, and they were letting him limp his ass around without any sort of cast or anything, so hopefully it's not too bad. And we also found out that Lucas has been struggling with a sore ankle, which had not really been reported, which was given to be the reason he didn't start against Atlanta, although I would have said he probably shouldn't have started against Atlanta anyway, just in the name of rotation and not overtaxing players. So, Brent, since you brought it up, are you concerned that something about this tournament is an issue in creating injuries?
A little bit. I don't know if it's the weather or the compressed schedule or maybe a little bit of both, or if there's something else going on. But I also don't think that we're the only team that has seen the type of injuries or the rate of injury that we've had so far. So there's definitely something about what's happening that's leading to a little bit of increased damage to the players.
What do you think, Charles? Are you worried about this? Like, is it the tournament? Is it sort of that weird broken system where they haven't trained as well? What's going on?
Well, obviously there was the big layoff, but I mean, probably the compressed schedule, the heat, everything. There's some fatigue there, but I think we have good depth, so I'm not that worried from a team perspective. Obviously, you guys get hurt, but I think we have 6 days to our next game in between the last game, so I think there's some time to heal and recover, and I don't think we'll see that as much going through the kind of bracket stage of this tournament. But obviously, you go down, you probably haven't been going full go at training. They had to cancel the exhibition matches running in, so you're getting first game speed, and things are going to happen. And I think it's just kind of the nature of the setup that you're going to have guys pick up a strained muscle here and a strained muscle there. Obviously, Vito being an outlier where it's a major injury, but I'd like to think hopefully the Crew has the depth to kind of weather those injuries for this tournament aspect of it, and we'll come out the other side and see how we do.
Sure, yeah. Vito's injury appeared to happen when his foot hit the ground weird. So I don't know that one's necessarily like a weather thing, but who knows? I mean, these guys are playing. They're also playing at weird times. If you're playing a 9 a.m. game, your body isn't used to that. If you're playing a 10:30 game and it's still 80 fucking degrees outside, your body is not used to that. So I could definitely see it being an issue. I'm glad they're not playing on turf in some sort of indoor setup, because then that would just be, begging for trouble, I think.
Look at the NWSL setup. There's been some injuries out there, but they're on turf at elevation, and I think playing a more compressed schedule, maybe even than men are. So that one is scarier to me than the current MLS setup.
Sure. Yeah. And I think, my initial concern when I started looking at this was thinking, gosh, we don't really have the winger depth that maybe we've had in years past. But the more I thought about it, at this point, both Cadden and Jimenez are sort of those utility guys who can be fullbacks or midfielders. So in retrospect, we're still there. If Zelarayan's injury winds up being a little more serious, I'd be concerned at the 10 spot, because it only leaves Pedro as the option. And actually, I like Mokhtar as depth at the 10 spot. I feel like he has good vision, and he looks really comfortable playing in the middle of the field and trying to facilitate the game. So I like him as an option, and if he's going to be out for an extended period of time, I'm not happy about that. But I think in the long run, especially as these next couple of games space out a bit, people have time to rest up. Tarbell has looked good enough to me, certainly, that, him starting with Lamson as a backup, I think you feel pretty comfortable about that, even if it's several games. And of course, these next, however far they go in the tournament, those games they count for fuck all for the regular season. So even if at some point you just have to field a B squad and wind up getting knocked out, it's certainly not the end of the world. That also means you get to go home and get your players back with your family, get some rest until the league figures out what they're doing next. So ultimately, I think the team's pretty well positioned right now for whatever the world holds in store for them. Any other thoughts in general on this weird ass tournament that we've now experienced a group stage for?
What kind of mood do you think Don Garber, with Chicharito getting hurt, Vela not going, Galaxy and LAFC not playing great, Atlanta United getting knocked? You love to see it.
Do you mean a tournament where the Columbus Crew are the headliners for the entire league? How do I think Don Garber feels about that? I feel as though he's probably engaging in autoerotic asphyxiation on a daily basis, just so that he can feel anything.
I almost spit beer all over the place when you just...
Yeah, like he probably has broken the rod in the closet that you're supposed to hang your clothes on, because he keeps trying to masturbate himself into oblivion with a rope tied around his neck. But that's neither here nor there. Hi Don, if you're listening, fuck you always and forever. Any other thoughts from you, Brent? Do you want to talk about autoerotic asphyxiation?
I think you covered that portion of the segment pretty well, Draps.
All right. We'll be sure to include that as a new segment on the podcast. Okay. So now that we've talked about soccer things on the field, let's talk about some things off the field. Oh, I literally forgot to ask, by the way. Hey, Brent, did you watch the Nordecke virtual tour event?
I did.
Oh, good. I'm glad somebody here can talk about that, because I had it in the show notes. I did not watch because, I just didn't want to. Oh, also, it was when we were outside and the projector couldn't show it anyway. I didn't watch it. Charles was busy being a lawyerman, apparently. So he was, I don't know, like bribing elected officials or something. So why don't you tell us about your perception of the virtual tour event that the crew did?
My perception of the virtual tour. I mean, first off, the new Nordecke in the new stadium is going to be it's really big. So they definitely delivered on their promise to try to make this one of the biggest supporter sections in the league. Between the two terraces that they added that are maybe not regular seating, but so they're not technically included in the section, but also they're like behind and above the section. That number puts us over and above Orlando for the largest supporter section in the league. So that part will definitely be pretty cool. You get that thing packed out, and you get the signs and the flags and all of that stuff flying. It'll be pretty awesome to be one of the bigger supporter sections in the league. I definitely think it was difficult, maybe not worth it to turn that into an entire town hall segment, because about 90% of what they were saying was the beer hall, the beer hall, the beer hall. But it's definitely nice that they're really trying to appeal to the Nordecke and to the supporter section, to make it a special place for everybody, and to work with us on how we can best support the team. The safe standing section with the ability to convert it into seats is a really good forward thinking move. And everybody's favorite, there's going to be a smoke dispersal unit throughout the section so that we can safely fill the entire Nordecke with smoke. So, Drabs, I know you love that personally. They've taken care of you in that regard.
Yeah, that was really all I was looking for in a section in which I will maybe be there once in my life. So, as I said, I didn't see it, but let me rattle off a couple of features, and because I basically saw people's reactions online, so let me make sure that we hit the highlights. So, as you said, like the biggest supporter section, I don't know if it's big. Is it officially the biggest? I know it's bigger than Orlando. I don't know if it beats out like an Atlanta United or some stupid bullshit like that.
Orlando's is actually the biggest in the league, so by beating Orlando, it would be the biggest.
Okay. I think the beer garden is maybe supposed to be the biggest in MLS. One of the steepest, if not the steepest, grades in the supporter section, so it minimizes the distance you are away from the field. Tifo rigging, including the capacity, in theory, to have a 180-foot Tifo. Ethan McKinley, you picked a hell of a time to start doing Tifo sweat stuff, my friend. Rest in peace. I wish you the best, because you're going to die. But that's, in all seriousness, that's really cool. Like the concept of having a 60-yard long Tifo that's rigged, and I know there was something about being able to do layered Tifo, which I'm not fully sure what that means, but it sounds cool. So yay.
Basically, that would just mean the ability to have like a 3D effect on your Tifo.
Also, I just want to add, now that Pam had that baby, can't she do the sewing again while Morgan babysits? Sounds like it's a doable thing for young Mr. McKinley.
Oh, I definitely think, Pam can do sewing. Morgan can bring Nora and not pay attention to her like he probably does every day as an absentee father. And he can stand around while other people do all the work. Basically, nothing would change.
The math seems to check out.
So yeah, did either of you, I know Charles you didn't watch, but if you've seen anything online, were there any sort of major features that I missed relating to the new Nordecke?
So one of the biggest things with the team also in supporting the Nordecke is now they've made it that if you get a Nordecke membership, no matter where you sit in the stadium, if you get a membership, you get to get in the priority seating in the new stadium. So if you go online, you join the Nordecke member, we're giving that list to the team, and you'll get called ahead of just the general public to pick seats somewhere in the stadium. You can get your tickets in the Nordecke, you can get them outside the. But that's a new thing. I think I know it was over 500 memberships in a day after they announced that. So that's really exciting from our side.
Yeah, that's sweet. So if they go to Nordecke.com for this season and purchase a Nordecke membership, then that gets them, basically they get to be at the head of the line to get Nordecke. Is it Nordecke tickets for next year or anywhere in the stadium?
Anywhere in the stadium.
Okay.
Anywhere in the stadium. So, and I think it won't be just this year. I think it will be continuing feature running forward that Nordecke members will get priority stuff from the team. Whether you sit in the Nordecke or not, you'll be head of the list if you want to move seats. That I think, but I know it's for this new purchase of the tickets in the new stadium. And then I know also Steve Lyon mentioned some type of patch thing that I'm not totally clear on. Maybe Brent Miller can fill us in on that part.
Can you fill us in, Brent Miller, on that part?
Yeah. So I don't fully know what this is going to look like, but basically they're going to give everybody who is a Nordecke member that confirms their tickets for the new stadium, they're going to give you a patch that can be sewn onto your jerseys. So it's just a little add-on. Again, don't know the design, don't know what it's going to look like or say. Maybe he said that and I just didn't hear it, but yeah. One of the other features that was talked about that we haven't mentioned yet is the dedicated entrance on the that would end up being the northwest side of the stadium. That creates the possibility of doing a march down Nationwide Boulevard and then around the stadium to the back, where only supporters, an entrance that only leads to the supporter section and the beer garden. So that'll be a pretty cool thing in order to create some tradition as well.
Nice. So, and presumably they'll have some sort of security there to keep the fuckboys from other teams from trying to crash through that gate then.
One would hope.
Excellent. Oh, so Charles, I did want to ask, if somebody were to go to the Nordecke website because they decided they wanted to sign up and get that, priority option for next year, are there still scarves and hats and all the merch associated with a membership available this year?
Why would you put me on the spot for a question like that?
Because I didn't know the answer. That was a bad.
Yeah, I'll have to.
Somebody call Orb Gardney.
Yeah. Orb this year is the Lord of Merch, the Lord High Ruler of all merchandise for the deck. So I'll have to check with him. As far as I know, there is because hopefully we got a lot of memberships the other day. So and also if you do go to Nordecke.com. We rolled out a new website this week, and it'll be constantly upgrading. But Jeff and his team and Kevin and those guys have been working on it for quite some time. So there's a whole new layout to .com.
Yeah, and they're also I did receive an email from them the other day. They're confirming existing memberships. So make sure to check your email and potentially your junk folder in case shit got misdirected. There's a link you can click basically to confirm your membership as they transition to the new website and everything. And so you want to make sure you don't fall off the list.
Yeah, and you might have to reset your password also because of the migration to the new website. So that's all normal, and it's upgrading the security and all kinds of stuff. It's like it's a real professional website now.
Oh my gosh, the Nordecke is all grown up. Very exciting. It's a new era. Enough of those old-ass slackers who went off and retired. There's a new young generation who are actually doing shit and making things happen.
That's right,
wouldn't know
crew
anything
union. That's right, crew union. Suck our balls,
right.
crew union.
I have heard that the crew union van is looking pretty rough these days, and I think that's very symbolic of the way that, you know, membership has evolved. That the old is rusted and busted. I'm expecting some sort of new hotness for the new supporter vehicle.
GCG bus confirmed.
GCG barge confirmed.
Why not both?
Why not do both? Yeah. All right, sweet. Anything else about the virtual tour? All right, I'm going to take silence as, well, let's not make it weird. Charles, you had something else you'd like to talk about. You mentioned you would like to discuss a shirt that the Nordecke was involved in creating and distributing. Why don't you unmute yourself and give us the what's up there?
Yeah, so the Nordecke worked with some of the players and the team and Coach Porter. We had an idea for a shirt supporting Black Lives Matter and the team, and we came up with Kevin Glenn at Supporter Supply. He threw together some designs and some concepts. The board worked on it, and at the same time, the board, the team, and we got the shirt design. Got the shirt actually to the players. They've been wearing it in kind of the pregame walk off of the bus. Caleb Porter's been doing interviews in it, and then we put it on sale, and we're sending 100% of the proceeds to. Well, at first we were just like, hey, let's find a good organization to give these proceeds to. So we reached out to the NAACP here in Columbus, and they were like, hey, everything has to go through the national organization. Great. We want to do our part and help. And then also we managed to kind of through some just conversations and connections, get a hold of Zach Steffen, and him and Alex Grinali have started this Voycenow Foundation, which is Athletes for Black Lives Matter. And he got back to us just as we were putting this out. And so we decided with his support to split the proceeds between NAACP and Voycenow. And also he had, I lost count of how many different athletes from the team, from Will Trapp, some other players, overseas even, that tweeting out and putting on their Instagram pages to have people support the shirt. I think we're close to selling now, so we're going to be able to do a good size donation to both of these groups from, an idea that just kind of spawned out.
I'm sorry, can you say again how many you did? My audio cut out right when you said the number.
Oh, I think we're getting close to 500 shirts sold.
Nice.
Yeah, so poor Kevin Glenn, bless his soul, he came up with this design, he came up with this idea, and now he is working his ass off to fulfill shipments to everybody and get them out to everybody. And he's been a great partner to the Nordecke through this, but also so have Zach and his whole team over there. We've worked really closely with them. We coordinated kind of a message to push this out. The feedback we even got from the players on the was that they loved the shirts, and that I've seen them wear multiple times now. So it was just a really nice thing that just kind of came together from us thinking of ways, what can we do to try to help out, try to raise some money. It's a tough time to be out doing things, but we thought this was a good way. So it's been a really fun kind of experience of putting it all together, but also just to see all the support. It's just been kind of mind-boggling from us for a shirt that says the Nordecke on it, so it's not,
for sure.
It's not just a generalized Black Lives Matter shirt. It's, a more specific one, and just the overwhelming support we've gotten from across the country has just been just incredible.
Yeah, and the shirt is still available on the Supporter Supply Company website. As you mentioned, they're basically in pre-order again because that initial inventory sold out so fast. In fact, I think I'm in the pre-order for the next batch. It's got the word massive in the fist. It's got the map of Ohio on the wrist of the hand. It's got the Nordecke in the bottom on a scarf. Like it's a great blend of the messaging for Black Lives Matter combined with, you know, the spirit of the Nordecke and crew fans in general. It's really cool. And like you said, I've noticed Porter doing interviews in it. It's so much fucking better than the shitty ass t-shirt that the league came up with overall, which is fine on the front, being a pretty plain Black Lives Matter. That's the message that really matters. But the back of the league t-shirts is just a hot mess. Like, it looks like some shit you came up with to like raise money for your high school spring formal or something. It's just awful. But yeah, the shirt is really cool, and it's awesome to hear that it's been selling so well.
Yeah, and I totally forgot also when we came up with the shirt and sent the design to the team. At first, I think they were even like, "Okay, you guys do want to do a see," and we sent that, and like, "No, this is the." And not only that, I don't know if I think it came specifically from Mensa, but I'm not sure. They were like, "Hey, can you design a captain's armband too?" So Mensa's been wearing the captain's armband that has the same design on the tournament. So that was really like, it all kind of came together. And once again, a lot of credit to Kevin, credit to the board of directors for the deck, this all together and figuring this all out on, you know, just kind of running with making it and getting the team on.
All right. Charles, just as an FYI, I think you might need to hold your microphone a tiny bit closer to your face, but not brush your beard, because you're cutting in and out a little bit.
I was trying to keep it away from the beard, Darby, because earlier you were complaining about that, and
I know
there's no pleasing. You're such a.
I'm such a diva. If you would have just shaved to be on the goddamn podcast, then we wouldn't have this problem. But no, you have to be all, "Ooh, look at me, I can grow a bushy beard."
Oh, look at your jealousy showing, just like your jealousy of Sanch.
For sure. I have not actually, like, I've trimmed but not shaved since all of this started, and it's still, I mean, I look like I'm 16, except half of my beard hair is gray. I have nothing but jealousy for people who can successfully grow facial hair, and I make no apologies for that.
Well, my apologies for fucking up your what a high quality show this is, and I can't believe I've brought it down a whole peg. I really apologize. Maybe even a peg and a half at this point. We don't have any pegs to spare.
Brent's been doing a lot of pegging lately, and so we don't have spare pegs anymore. Isn't that right, Brent? Brent.
Good job, Brent. Oh,
Brent, that's not the hole you put the peg in. You're not supposed to put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
Draps, I'm not the one that's been using those pegs on the horses.
Damn it. I should have known that was going to happen. I should have known. Charles, not to change the subject, but is there anything else you'd like to talk about sort of in this realm while we're at it?
Coming off that pegging horse sex joke, you know it, Draps.
Well, I mean, that wasn't quite what I meant, but sure, if you want to talk about that, go for it.
So just, following off kind of what we've been able to do with the shirts, we can't say anything yet, but we are working with, trying to work with Zach some more Voycenow, and also with Ty Phillips and Columbus Speaks. We're hoping here soon we're going to have another thing to roll out to support Black Lives Matter, but also the Black community in Columbus specifically. We're really hoping to raise a good amount of funds for that. So working on something really cool. So stay tuned for that. But it's been great, and we're trying to push and do more. We have this downtime. We're trying to, can't be in the stands. So what can we do to help impact our community in a positive way?
Oh my God, that was the best tease I've heard in ages. You are a consummate professional. I was just saying to Brent the other day, you know what, Brent, maybe you should leave the podcast and Charles CANPENISNO should take over, because he is the top lad in the tease game.
And I said gladly.
Yeah, that's one of those don't threaten me with a good time kind of threats, as it turns out. Like, please, God, let me get away from this podcast. Okay, sweet. Yeah,
Darby started talking about teases. I thought we were headed for a horse sex joke, but no, he pulled it back. He pulled back the reins at the last minute.
I hate you both so very, very much. So very much. Okay, we're going to totally pivot away from all of these topics, some of which I don't want to talk about. Let's talk about our still
We're
doesn't
going right
have a name.
into another Yankees update, and I'll remind you that it's 4-1, and they're in a rain delay in the 6th inning.
You broke in for an update in which the score hadn't changed because they're not playing baseball right now. I hate you. I hate you so much. Okay. We have this thing we do, the crew superlative thing, where we should probably come up with a name for this at some point, but I haven't really cared enough to do so. So this is going back to the Red Bull game, in which I really thought, as I said, we might have that Eddie Gavin moment where a field player would have to pull on the keeper jersey. And I'm wondering, lads, what player from among the entire current roster would you pick to be the emergency keeper? You know, you're out of subs, you can't bring on a keeper off the bench, but you need somebody to step in for a little bit of time and keep the team, keep a result. Who's your guy in that situation?
It's definitely Josh Williams. In fact, hasn't he done that before in a real game?
Define a real game. Are you saying
a game that was played against another team?
Like an MLS game?
I don't remember what competition it was, or maybe it was a preseason. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he has come in relief of a goalie because the team was out of subs.
I think what you're describing is a GCG bag wet dream, in which it was really just an excuse for him to take off his jersey to then put on the keeper kit.
Well, I don't think it was a crew game. I think he was with another team, but I'm pretty sure that he has actually done that.
Okay, well that would have been either NYCFC or Toronto, and I don't watch either of those teams because they're garbage and I hate them both. But if you said it happened, I'll take your word for it. What about you, Charles? Who's your emergency keeper boy if it comes down to it?
Well, the answer was Josh Williams, but fucking Brent stole the answer, so you know.
I mean, you're allowed to be an unoriginal bastard and say the same thing. You just have to, justify it in an interesting way.
No, I think I would actually go with. Well, see, it'd be tough to pull him out, but Mensah, Mensah's got the aggressiveness. He's got, he can get up for the ball. I think as he climbs over everybody's back to head balls away from the back line. I just think he has that mentality to go get the ball. So I think that might be my pick over Josh. I just think he's that kind of. He'll get off the line. He'll make stuff happen, and I think that's what I want.
Okay, so you actually have the same idea that the announcer from that game had, because I believe the announcer said, "Oh yeah, why don't you have Mensah step up and take that?" Let me tell you, both of you and that announcer, why you are stupid and wrong, and I hate you, and you should die in a fire. You don't take your center back out of the center back position to play goalkeeper, because your center backs are going to be the ones who are helping bail the keeper out. So how dare you both?
I did have
fans.
that thought. That was my stutter at the beginning when I was like, "Ooh, do I want to take the center back away?"
And then you just doubled down on a terrible choice, like any good crew fan does. I appreciate that about you. I say, for me, it's going to be Artur. He's a guy. He's decently tall for a midfielder. He's an athletic guy. I think he's got the aggression enough that I'd be like, listen, I want you charging out for every ball, and I want you studs up 2-foot tackling anybody who even gets in the box. Because if we're going to do this, let's do it big. And yeah, the rest of our wingers are all tiny. I don't feel like Jossie necessarily is going to be the guy I want diving for a ball. He seems very upright and stiff in his carriage. Yeah, I think otherwise everybody's too short, so I want Artur being the guy. And that's why I'm right and you guys are both wrong.
First of all, I think you're totally wrong, because part of being a goalie is hand-eye coordination, and I watched Artur swing a golf club today on Instagram, and it's just not there, buddy. Like, it's just not there.
That is a really great point. If you check the Instagram stories of the players today, so what it was Artur and Pedro and Valenzuela and Zelarayan were all out golfing today, and Artur has the worst fucking golf swing. He has like a Charles Barkley kind of golf swing. It was horrendous. It was truly one of the worst things I've ever seen. So I can't argue with you on that point.
Yeah,
Brent,
I like
you're all
how
lit
you
up.
make fun of our choices, our correct choices for
Not
picking
correct choices.
probably the two best players on the field to take charge of the goal. And then you proceed to pick, like, maybe the one player on the field that really should not be in the goal. If you're picking a non-center back, the choice is clearly Hector Jimenez.
Oh, that was going to be my answer, Brent. God damn you. You dirty bitch.
I mean, that's not bad. You're not wrong in the utility. It's a shame that you didn't pick him, though, because you wanted to pick the most wrong option available to you instead of the one that makes sense. I picked one that's, I'll say, is a solid B choice, whereas you picked an F minus.
That is not a B choice. You're fucking high.
Sure it is. No. Definitely a B choice.
Kids. Don't do drugs, all right? Hector Jimenez, I think we can all agree, is the right answer. I'm picturing Jorge Campos-esque skills from Hector in the goal.
I will allow that maybe Hector is the best choice, but neither one of you picked him to begin with. So I award you no points whatsoever, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Well, Josh and Jonathan were both better choices than Artur, so we're still more right than you.
No, not sure. Nope, you don't take the center back. You just don't. You don't.
Darby,
I'm
I think
sorry.
you got outvoted here 2-1. It sounds like you lost.
Here, wait. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you both muted yourselves, so I don't have to do it for you. I mean, I'll go ahead and I'll double mute you just to be sure that you don't talk in this part. No, I was definitely.
Darby, that's how democracy works.
You don't
Darby
pull your
Trump.
center back, so
you son of a bitch.
you automatically lose as soon as you even pick that position. Whereas I made a good but not great choice. So now we'll maybe let you back into the recording at this point. Welcome back, lads. Let's talk about man balls.
Look at Darby Trump just running roughshod over democracy.
Right? It's
I don't know if
Trumpian of him.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, Charles, because you're not much of a lawman, but the Constitution does not protect you from consequences for free speech. It only prohibits the government from stopping you from
Nobody said shit about Constitution. I was saying democracy, the vote of the people, the will of the majority.
Yeah. I'm not the government, so you have no right to free speech on this garbage podcast.
You kind of are the government of this podcast because you're controlling the recording.
Being like the government is not being the government, Brent. And I know you're a Justin Amash boy, and you think there should be no government and dogs and cats living together and mass hysteria, but that's not how things work. You need a true leader to tell people when they're wrong and to shut the fuck up, and that's what I'm doing.
I just heard Drab say he's voting for Donald Trump.
I am most certainly not, and screw you for the accusation.
I felt like this was heading somewhere like Darby was going to be like, no, I should be able to have sex with all the horses I want. And then, I just kind of blacked out.
Let's see. There's the mute button again. Okay, cool. So let's talk about some man balls now, because we had some games. And if you feel the need, you can award some man balls. And we're going to start with Brent because Charles is still muted right now. We'll give Brent the first opportunity to award man balls for this week. What you got, buddy?
Are we doing 2 per game that was played, or are we just sticking with 2?
I don't give a shit. If you want to give 2 per game, you can do that. It's anarchy in here these days. There are no more rules in the world, so you do you. You can have 2 per game if you want.
All right. Let's see. First of all, we're going to give one to Darlington Nagbe for being the best midfielder in MLS. Yeah, a couple of different games where you have above a 90% passing accuracy rate. One game with a 100% passing accuracy rate. You for sure earn that.
97% overall, I think, among all those games.
Those stats are just insane. Of trying really hard, not to pick him, because I feel like you could pick him almost every game because the dude is just a machine. But those two games, especially that New York game, was just unbelievably good from him. And then second, I'm going to give one to Tarbell. I thought his performance in relief of Aloy Room was really solid, came out of the gate pretty quick with that one really nice save, and just performed really well overall in that game. So a really, really good backup pick. Could probably be a starting keeper on several teams in the league, and we have him in relief of a top-notch goalkeeper. So, overall, just really good from him.
Now that you asked for 4 man balls, though, you've still got 2 more to give out.
No, I was making sure that you weren't expecting 4, and that I would be okay to only give 2.
Damn it. So you asked for 4 only to not give out 4. I hate you so much. Oh, my God. Okay, Charles, what you got?
Am I officially unmuted?
Yes, you are unmuted now. You're allowed to talk.
So I think first man ball, Jossie Zardes. I think he is the most underrated American men's player in the world right now, potentially. I think he's just his work rate's incredible, putting in goals, doing everything the team needs and asks from him. His hold up play, couple games was just incredible. So first man ball, my boy Jossie. I think second man ball, really, because I didn't hear it talked about enough, I'll give one to Josh Williams for all the GCG bags out there. I'll make them happy, but also he played really well in that Red Bulls game. I think he made a couple plays, that goal-saving plays, that really changed the tone of that game. And as I think everybody sung, kind of Mensah's praises and Nagby's praises, Lucas's praises, I think Josh had a really solid game. So like to give him some recognition.
All right. Since neither of the two of you decided to use your extra 2 man balls, I will take them both. And I will take my 4 man balls for a total of 8 man balls. And I am giving them all to Henry Crognale. Happy birthday, my friend. Turned 100 years old this past weekend. An amazing accomplishment, and in true lad party style, was out in the midday heat, enjoying a drive-by birthday party. From what I understand, there were dozens and dozens of cars that drove by to wish him a happy birthday, including a large number of crew fans. Karen Crognale said at this point she thinks he's gotten over 100 birthday cards sent from all across the country, basically. So yeah, congratulations. First time in the history of ACES Radio that any person has gotten 8 man balls in a single episode. And there is literally nobody more deserving than him. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, since you picked such a good recipient, we'll go ahead and allow it. But just know, Draps, you were very, very close to having your man balls denied.
Well, I'm glad that you aren't going to pretend to make this an issue and try and take away something from me that you can't take away from me. So, yeah, thanks for that. All right. Hey, Charles, since you are considered a guest host here, before the world went to shit, we were starting to do this thing on this podcast that we were calling "What's Your Kink?" because we did actually
what a
come up with a name.
non-professional. Drabs just jumping right into other stuff before we finish the soccer talk.
No, we're going to preview the upcoming game after "What's Your Kink?" because it seems weird.
That's not what I was talking about.
What now? What do you want?
Well, we have to talk about Artur saying that he wants to play for the U.S. national team, Drabs.
That's not in the show notes anywhere.
Well, that's your fault for making bad show notes.
It's your fault for not contributing to the show notes, you bastard.
Did he actually say that, or was that just a Twitter?
Yeah, you're going to have to share some background because I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
All right, let me go find it. You guys talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Jesus Christ.
Look at, here's Brent's show prep. He brings up an idea that he didn't put into the show notes, didn't mention to either of us, and isn't prepared to speak about when we give him the chance to talk about it.
Well,
Charles,
I assume that you guys as crew fans would have an idea of things that happen amongst crew players, but you know.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter, and I saw no attribution to it, and I just saw he might want to play for the USMNT, and I was like, oh, okay, where's that coming from?
Is this a massive report piece of information? Is that what's happening here, Brent?
No, it was below massive report where I saw it. It was several crew fandom layers down.
So now Artur is what? 20. He is 24 years old. Charles, are you familiar with the requirements for the one-time switch in terms of age? Because I feel like there's an age limit for that.
I don't remember there being an age limit. I thought it was an appearance limit. If you had to have, if you get capped by one of them, you can't switch.
I think there's both elements, but
are you going full Brent Miller here and being like, oh wait, I think I have this random information that I have no research or information on?
Yeah, no, I think basically because I'm having to go on the fly right here, I'm not familiar with the rules. Had I known Brent wanted to talk about this, I might have done a little research, but no, he's got to bring it up out of nowhere. I mean, we're still talking here, so it's buying him more time for his bullshit. Let's see. NationalLawReview.com has an article about it, but I'm going to have to search. But yeah, regardless,
I don't see an age requirement on here. It cannot occur if the player's been capped at the senior international level in a competitive international match.
Well, I think there might. Maybe the age thing is related also to like living in that country as well. I honestly don't know. Like, I thought there was a thing like if you're 30 years old, you're not allowed to change nationalities. But yeah, it may be connected either entirely on number of appearances or some combination of appearances and age.
Well, it's a good thing he's not 30 yet then.
Well, that was just an example, you shitbag.
I think you're referring, there used to be an old that limited switching national teams to players 21 and younger. And that's from a 2009 article in the New York Times that I'm reading. So you're only like 11 years behind the times.
That's fine. Well, I mean, it just shows you how often this sort of thing comes up. Because so the last guy who would have switched nationalities would have been the dude who's like half Australian, is it? The winger. His name is totally escaping me.
Tyler Boyd?
Yeah, Tyler Boyd.
New Zealand, not Australia.
New Zealand. I mean, it's all the same. Just ask Greg Benson. They're the same country. But he's the person who's switched most recently to the men's national team, right?
Yeah, we've had a couple do it. He did it, and Kenny Saeed is on the Israeli national team, I think, for a bit. He switched to the U.S.
Yeah. All right, Brent, have we wasted enough time that you can act like you know what you're talking about now?
You wasted enough time for that like 5 minutes ago.
Okay, well, go for it.
All right. So this was a quote from him that... Oh, fuck. He said, I dream about playing in Europe, but you never know what's going to happen, and I don't think about it. I just want to give my best and see what the future presents me. The possibility of remaining here, becoming an American citizen, and playing for the national team is certainly something to think about. It would be a step forward in my career. My childhood dream is obviously to play for Brazil, but if the opportunity arises, it's definitely something that I would consider.
That's interesting because for him to specifically mention that, to me, kind of implies that maybe some conversations have taken place. I don't have any basis for that, but it seems weird to just sort of offer yourself up for the national team unsolicited. And Berhalter certainly is familiar with his play. I'm not sure if the center midfield position is that wide open these days. But I certainly wouldn't be mad about seeing him in a January camp and seeing how it works out. What do you think, Charles?
Yeah, can he even come into camp though? Like, wouldn't he have to become an American citizen first to become eligible? Because I don't know if he has any ancestry that ties back to America. So I'm just saying, like, I think we're like 6 steps ahead of the process at this point.
Right. So it looked like from what I was seeing in the frantic internet search that if you live in a country for 5 years after you turn 18, I think then you become eligible for that. So I don't know I don't think he'd be eligible yet because I'm not sure he's been here 5 years, but he's at least approaching that time frame. What? Because he's been with the team.
He's been here for 4 and coming up on his 5th at this point.
Okay.
So he came in 2016.
Right. But it would have been like he started in Brazil on a game on June 16th, 2016. So yeah, he's probably just exactly at 4 years. So he'd have another year, which would make him 25 years old when he would in theory be eligible, assuming he does like all the citizenship stuff. I don't know. It's intriguing as a thought. Anytime our team can have somebody who's getting a national team look, it's kind of a cool idea. Yeah, I mean, I really would be curious to know if he's talked to Berhalter about it at some point then. But yeah, I mean, I'd be in favor. Get some rotation in there. I think he would potentially bring something that maybe the current set of players don't have, so he could certainly complement the existing roster.
Yeah, I think getting away from the kind of like archaic process side of this, I think, would I take in our tour Jackson Ewell and Will Trapp? There's at least depth behind McKennie, Adams, and whoever else is in that central, Nagby if he goes and plays. So definitely be intriguing.
Do you think Nagby will ever take it? It seems like he hasn't been especially interested in national team call-ups. And I know, some of that was with previous coaches and maybe now might be a different thing. But there were at least 2 times he sort of did I'm going to hang out with my family, which is totally fair. I mean, I don't think while it's a cool thing to play for a national team, it's not an obligation. But
yeah, everything I've heard is that he's wanted to spend international breaks with family. I know he has kids, but I think he'd be an incredible addition. And those sideline reports, interviews with Greg makes it sound that Greg is like, please. And I think the best chance you have leading into this 2022 World Cup, because we're already kind of halfway through the international windows and everything. We're only a couple years out, and this could be the chance for him to go and start in the World Cup. And I think that would be potentially very enticing to him to just be like, all right, 2 years, commit, go play in a World Cup and, cap off my career that way.
Yeah, because this would probably be the last cycle that he'd be even in consideration for, you'd have to think.
Yeah, I can't. He's 30, 31, so maybe he goes and he's 32-ish, maybe 33, and the World Cup after that, he's definitely not at 36, 35,
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brent, for throwing this total monkey wrench into our work and giving us a detour to go down. When our tour scores a game-winning goal in the World Cup, we will say, "Oh my God, Brent was so right. If only we had known what an amazing prognosticator he would be." Great. But until that happens, screw you. All right. So anyway,
I'll remind you, like always, I'm not a horse.
Go back to your bucket, you shitbag. Okay, Charles. Let's go back to talking about your kink, which we were trying to do your kink before Brent got into his weird little rabbit hole. So what sort of thing would you like to talk about today? Something that you're interested in that maybe other people in the crew community are into, and how they can get involved in that sort of thing.
So here's the thing. I asked my wife heading in, I think Darby's going to ask me this. And I have 4 kids and a new job and a coronavirus world. And I'm like, I don't get to do shit. Like, I would love to talk about how much I enjoy playing video games, but most of the days it's like, maybe I get to play a video game one night a week. I think I've got to play golf in 3 years, So it's like, I really don't have a great answer for you. My wife's answer was that my beard is my current kink. So me, Pat Murphy, of the growing our coronavirus beards. That's taking up most of my time. I think my free time.
Okay, well then let's talk about your coronavirus beard. What are you doing with your beard? Because as I've learned in my sad, pathetic attempts to grow facial hair, is that this isn't just a thing where you stop shaving. There can be a process to it. There can be products and like trimming styles. Like I had to look on YouTube to try and understand where you need to shave to keep it from being like a neck beard, which I was in some danger of having, because while it doesn't grow great on my face, it was growing far enough down that it was an unfortunate look. So what are you doing to maximize your coronavirus beard?
Well, first of all, I think I've had a beard since I think 2008 now, so I'm not a Johnny come lately to the game.
Since you were 12 years old, because, I understand Italian heritage and whatnot, sure.
There you go, buddy. So it's this is the first time, though, where I've gone for some, as I like to call we're going for girth, not length. So we're letting it get a little bushy. We're letting it go out a little bit. We're trying to let it be nice and full. But I'm not going, TK from GCG bag. I'm not going ZZ. We're not going for the long one here. So, but as far as care, maintenance, a good wooden comb so it doesn't pull out the hairs, a little boar's head brush. These are the things I've been trying out, finding. A little beard oil. I like to go unscented personally. A little light beard oil, and then as it got fuller and longer, had to pick up maybe some beard balm too to kind of like get everything nice and moisturized. Now, plot twist: when you wear a mask with all this beard oil and beard balm in there, my beard comes out at the end of the day just the softest hair on my whole body, I think, because it has just been trapped with all that moisture and oils and everything against my face when I go to, and it has just caused the beard softness quotient to skyrocket around here. Don't think I could achieve these things without the virus. So, finding that silver lining.
So do you find yourself getting like mask face associated with your beard, like the beard equivalent of bedhead from having a mask on for long periods of time?
Yeah. There's a ridge that develops just below the chin in the beard. At the end of the day, there's kind of a dent that goes all the way around it. You just kind of brush it out, at the end of the day, let it get some air. But it's definitely one of the kind of twists I didn't see coming. Now there's ways you can do it with doing different types of masks and stuff, but it's been an interesting experience having all this facial hair. There's more than one time where I've been like, maybe it's time to trim it down, but we're letting it go right now.
So how does Darla feel about this facial hair extravaganza going on?
Oh, she loves it. She's fully supports. She likes where it's headed. She enjoys it. At least one of the kids loves it. He just rubs his head against it all the time. He said no. Family supportive of it. Nobody at the office has said anything. There's actually a vice president that has kind of the longer beard even. So been right. It's just about dealing with it in 95 heat on mask. All that's kind of drawbacks come in. And, the key, though, just some beard maintenance. Pat Murphy, God bless him. You see his beard today? Oh, my gosh. I think he might be a hobo under a bridge. I'm not sure there, Pat Murphy. I don't know what you got going on with that beard, buddy. Run a comb through that thing.
It does seem to require a certain level of effort there.
Yeah, that might be a look he's going for, too. I'm just fucking with Pat. I love him. But,
So speaking of images, is there blackmail fodder somewhere online where people can see the current state of your beard?
Not really. It's sticking out in a couple pictures. I think from the game day, the first crew game of the MLS Back Coronavirus Tournament 2020. But no, I haven't been taking update pictures. I got a lot of gray going on here now too. For these kids, all this legal stress that goes in my life. So it's not for everybody, but I like it.
All right. Well, Brent's indicating he can't hear us, but I can hear us, so we'll keep talking, and that's fine. Do you have an end game in mind? Have you established either a length or time period at which you think you'll go back to normal, or maybe shave clean or something like that?
No, I think we're gonna try to make it to winter, because that's when you're gonna get the most value from the beard. Honestly, in the winter, those biting cold days. Thank God Brent Miller, he dropped out. He's back. Hopefully he can hear us, because he's missing just some great beard information here. It's really sad when he grows up and he can finally grow facial hair. But no,
mine is already better than Darby's.
It absolutely is. I can't even argue with that.
Oh, I haven't seen this thing. I'm gonna have to track down some pictures of Bront's. So anyway, no, the end game lengthwise, we're already nearing it. I've started kind of trimming underneath and keeping it under control, because again, don't want to go ZZ Top. We're trying to get a nice full beard here.
Well, I do think you now, because you've talked about it, you do have an obligation to post a picture online, because that's how podcasts work. Once you say something on a podcast, you're obligated to show it to the whole world. And then you and Brent can have a beard off in which you post your current pictures, and you can brag about how awesome your beards are.
Well, I'll give that a lot of consideration, Darby. So, I'll run that up the chain of command here. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, see, I'm familiar with lawyer speak. I know that actually translates to no and also fuck you.
That is exactly what that translates. Good job, Darby.
Basically, I took a law class, which means I'm essentially a lawyer at this point, and I'm absolutely a Twitter lawyer. So yeah, I can speak knowledgeably about these things. Also, I'm pretty familiar with the area of bird law, so I've got that going for me.
I just really appreciated you got that fuck you Darby in there all on your own. I didn't have to do it, and that's just the type of host you are on podcasts, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm glad that I can help you out. Okay, Brent, do you have any questions for not Charles, but for Charles's beard? Is there anything you would like to ask the beard? Either he can't hear us or he doesn't have any questions for your beard.
There we go. Yep, the button wasn't working. The only question I have for his beard is how it tolerates being so close to the rest of his face.
Oh, shit! Charles CANPENISNO, your response.
First of all, you can ride your bucket back to your Oklahoma and just hang out there with all the fun people you're experiencing. But second of all, God damn it, never mind. I have no response. I'm done. Brent Miller roasted me, and there's no coming back from it.
That's true. You should probably go ahead and delete your account right now. So on that note, let's preview game coming up here this Tuesday, because since the Crew have emerged completely victorious from the group stage, it has been determined that they are going to be playing the Fightin Ethan McKinleys of Upper Midwest borderline Canada in Minnesota United, aka the Todd Fichtenberg Derby. He is very conflicted these days because his complete man crush Ethan Finlay will be taking on the Crew. Minnesota United did adequately in their group, well enough to finish second. They had a win against Sporting Kansas City, and then they had a really exciting 0-0 tie against Salt Lake, and a really exciting 2-2 tie against the Rapids. So they are also technically undefeated, although not in as great a way as the Crew are. Brent, do you have any thoughts about the upcoming game? Actually, tell me your thoughts. Don't say no, I don't have any thoughts, because I know you're going to try and do that. Tell me your thoughts on the game.
I actually was not going to try to do that, so thank you for believing in me, Drabs. Your faith in me is really appreciated.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait to see how Todd Fichtenberg reacts during this game. That's always a treat whenever these two teams cross paths. But I think the biggest thing that I'm looking at right now is the way both of these managers are handling this matchup going into it. The comments from Heath were pretty interesting in that he's trying to play it as if we're the darlings of the league and that everybody's already crowning us champions, which seems inaccurate since all people wanted to talk about was how bad Atlanta was after we won that game. So it's a really interesting tactic, and I'll be interested to see how it works out for them.
Charles Campinesno, your thoughts?
Minnesota's one of those teams. I mean, Finley's there. They got Mason Toy, but I don't know shit about how they play anymore. Like, I feel like the last few years they've undergone such a transformation that my expectations for this game are, I think we go out there, if we play our game, if we play like we did against the Red, I don't have that many concerns, but I could be completely wrong because I'm just not, pounding out those Minnesota United matches night after night, making sure I know all the details there. So it's one of those things, like they were so bad a couple years ago, and they've, seemed to steadily improve to the point, like, should I be scared? Should I think this is an easy game? I'm just kind of confused by their success lately and not sure what to make of it.
Yeah, for sure. It's, they definitely struggled coming into the league. They've built, I think, at this point, what is a pretty strong roster overall. Their last game against the Rapids, Ethan Finlay did score both goals for the team. Aaron Schoenfeld, another Crew connection, is also on their roster, although it looks like from the box scores he's been kind of invisible in the times he's played for them in the tournament. I certainly can't speak a lot about what they're doing. I think for me, what's more interesting, as you said, is sort of how the teams choose to approach games at this point. There's no longer any regular season points on the line. There's a CCL berth for one out of the 16 teams who are playing. They've now been away from their homes and their families for several weeks now. Some teams, including the Crew, have experienced a bit of an injury issue. It probably reflects to some extent their philosophies on how they approach Open Cup matches. for me and for the crew, it does feel like, okay, you're playing with house money. Like, I would like to see them keep doing some player rotation. Not necessarily run out your first choice starting 11 for all of these games. You're sort of in a risk reward scenario where you've already picked up a couple injuries. Let's maybe not make it any worse. But that being said, with the rotation we've had, it seems like any combination of players can be a threat. The only thing we haven't really seen is a backup scoring threat up top. Adi has played a handful of minutes, but hasn't seemed particularly dangerous, if we're honest. Running is not his strong suit, which doesn't necessarily bode well for the style of play. But yeah, I do think, given how well the crew performed, I definitely think, at least for this game, they put out a solid lineup for at least 60 minutes and see if they can get a goal or two and then kind of work from there. If the game is going poorly for them, it wouldn't shock me if they just kind of pack it up and say, let's just go home, get some rest, get better. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think I do like that approach. I mean, I know Minnesota's missing Ike Opara in the back, so why not roll out Zarda, ZZ Boots, and, if Mokhtar's healthy, but if not, you got Diaz, you got Sanch, you got Derek. Pull them out and see what they can do over 60 minutes and, see where you're at time and, see if you can get through and keep guys fresh.
Yeah, I'd even, if you start Zardes, I'd be fine with making a sub at halftime to take him out. Just give him one half to see what he can accomplish. But yeah, it's definitely a point where, I want to get out of here without the team anymore dinged up. We got literally the best possible result in the group stage. You're playing with house money. I really don't care that much about CCL games and berths. It's a fun concept, but especially, who knows what CCL is going to look like? Who knows what next season's going to look like? I'm just not that concerned about it, and I have a feeling that teams probably aren't either. Brent, what's yours? Oh, do you want to say something else, Charles?
Yeah, imagine not wanting to be the first U.S. team to win CCL.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I like domestic league things. I just don't care about the international competitions like that.
I will say, given the state of the United States coronavirus response right now, is there a possibility that we should go win this tournament because this will be what MLS is this year, this tournament?
Yes.
It's certainly possible. I could also see Mexico not allowing U.S. teams into their country because we're so fucking gross and infected that they don't want us bringing our coronavirus to them.
Yeah, but that's CCL. I'm saying, will the champion of this tournament basically be the 2020 MLS champion this year because we don't get to play any more games after this?
This few games, I don't think you can't even call somebody a winner. Okay, fine, you win the MLS's Open tournament. It's not like, this is not an MLS Cup. This is not a Supporters Shield. If there are no more games after this tournament, you can't draw any sort of... I get that any cup or Supporters Shield for this year is probably going to have an asterisk associated with it regardless. But if this is all there is, the season's just a wash. I don't think you can... If you award anything, it's going to be a joke.
Darby, why do you hate the crew and not want them to win things?
Oh, if they get to put some more trophies in the cabinet, I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying you can't, if you brag about this, whoever wins all of this, if they use it as a bragging point, it's one step above the Carolina Challenge Cup.
So you're saying I should cancel my MLS Is Back tournament COVID Cup tattoo I had scheduled?
No, you should definitely do that, and it should be on your ass.
Right next to my Derby tattoo. Oh, shit.
Oh, we'll talk about that off the air, buddy. Okay, Brent, do you have a score prediction for this game against Minnesota United?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Charles, where like I know a little bit about Minnesota, but I don't know what to expect from them. But knowing how well we've been playing, I'm gonna say 3-1 Crew. Shout out to our Chicago-based supporter group.
Okay. Do you have any? Who do you think is going to score? 3 goals is a lot of goals.
3 goals is a lot of goals. I'll say 2 from Jossie, and I'll say Luis Diaz finally gets one in the net.
All right. Charles, what have you got for a score prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 Crew. I think we get a Jossie goal because he's on fire right now. And then Ethan Finlay equalizes, so Todd Fichtenberg just has a heart attack or, reaches peak ecstasy. I'm not sure which one he'll do. But, and then, Pedro Sanch with the game winner, just so Darby and Julie Jackson and all the Sanch haters out there just, have to finally give him some credit, and it's going to be glorious.
I love that your goal predictions are sheerly based upon the reactions of fans, not necessarily anything relating to the skills or abilities of the players involved.
I'm just here for the Twitter reactions to whatever happens in the game, Darby.
All right. I am also going to predict a 2-1 victory. I would love to see another shutout, but, I think just... you can only run that so far. Minnesota has managed the 2 games they scored in this tournament. They scored 2 goals both times, so they do clearly have the firepower. But the Crew are the better team. For me, I think Jossie scores a goal in the first half, gets an early sub out. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't care who from Minnesota scores. I really hope it's not Ethan Finlay, because I hate when the players that I like, score against us. It gives me that feeling like when you're playing fantasy football and somebody has a great day against the team that you root for, and you're like, I hate this, but I also love it. So I don't want that, and it's not going to happen.
So Big Celery is going to score against the Crew.
Probably. Actually, that's probably what's going to happen. He'll come off the bench in garbage time and pull one back. The second Crew goal, I'm going to say Etienne. I think he's really hungry, and I think he's probably he's still got it in his head, that he should have at least 1, if not 2 goals by now. I think he's hungry, and I think he gets one for the second goal. So, yeah. All right, lads. I think we've talked about all the things we can talk about. Anybody have any parting thoughts? And I swear to God, Brent, I will mute you if you do another Yankees update.
The Yankees are still in rain delay, Darby. It's okay.
Okay. Fair enough.
Thank you, Charles.
I can't believe I didn't have the foresight to remember that both you assholes are Yankees fans and this would wind up coming up. You're never invited back again, Charles, just so you know.
Oh, thank God.
But in all seriousness, thank you for joining us today on this weird and messed up version of the podcast that we have now. Even weirder and more messed up than it is just by what it is. All right. I suppose...
Charles, you're welcome back at any point.
Thank you, Brent. And I appreciate Darby finally inviting me to something. Invite me to his fucking house.
All right. If I invite you to my house, you better fucking come. I don't want any excuses like, oh, the kids are sick. Oh, I have coronavirus. Oh, I just don't want to. I'm not hearing any of that stuff.
Oh, there's too many horses at Darby's house.
I was going to say, Darby, if you invite me, I'm absolutely turning you down. But no, now, coronavirus, whatever, I'm coming over. I'm coughing on all your stuff, and I'm going to lick your toothbrush.
Yeah, just remember, I'm old, and I probably will die if I contract it.
That's true. You are high risk.
All right. Well, let's do that thing where we all we whisper something, and then I go back and edit the audio later to do the closing music over the end of this. So, as a wise man once said, all of Lord Guillermo's people said, "I still don't fuck you, Darby. Yankees suck.
Fuck you, Darby." Turn off the damn record.